Hey everyone, it's me, Kazuki Toons. And Illumination is an animation studio that exists. Yeah, this studio is mediocre. So during the time, Chris Meledandri was the former president of 20th Century Fox, or Blue Sky Studios, even though that studio got shut down a few years ago, moved to NBC Universal, and makes his own animation studio in 2007. Illumination is exposing and spamming the advertisements such as Despicable Me and the Super Mario Bros. Movies, since I'm gonna talk about it again. Even this animation studio is known for making average movies, even though you disagree with me. At least 2023 went strong and made 2 good movies, so there are less good movies and less bad movies. They either might stick to worst to best, or go in order with the franchises. Well, I might stick with the franchises I need to talk about. If you like or hate any of those movies, that's okay. Trust me, everyone has different opinions that we like or hate. Anyways, let's start the first movie. Despicable Me 1. This was the first Illumination movie that was released in the 2010s. It was really enjoyable over the years, like a cinematic classic. Here's why it's a good one. First off, I just really like Gru in this movie. He's so villainy and fun to watch, like he was voiced by Steve Carell, which he did a good job at voicing him. Some of the subplots are quite as interesting, like Gru stealing the moon and even Gru adopting 3 orphan girls. These 3 girls are so charming as well, like Margot, who is an autistic girl, Edith, who is the sassy one, and honestly Agnes, who is a fluffy cute little one. And another thing that I have little to say is... the Minions. So don't get me wrong, the Minions are just fine in this movie. They're just there as a joke side characters, which it has some of the comic relief fillers. That doesn't mean that the Minions didn't take over the world in 2010. There's also one scene where the Minion family are going to the supermarket and do some wacky shenanigans, which is kind of repetitive. Now, for the greatest villain of Illumination history. Vector! That's him. He's committing crimes with both direction and magnitude.
Oh yeah!
Honestly, remember like he was a legendary meme back in 2021? Remember that I watched Bosch's despicable meme videos or him activating his flight suit? I just burst out laughing. Anyways, he's really good villain in this movie. He needs to be funny and have a lot of comic relief than some minion shenanigans. Now, back to the review. My favorite part of the movie is the bedtime story, which Gru are taking care of the girls by reading a cute kitten book, which is very emotional and wholesome. And the animation really holds up for a late 2000s animated movie, which is classic. Once again, it's a good movie and a 7 out of 10. The next movie is the next Despicable Me movie called Despicable Me 2, which is a sequel. Yup. This sequel is still good as the original. I still like Gru and the girls, but truth be told, they didn't do anything to the plot. Especially the Minions have a lot of screen time, but there's just there being still mostly joke character in the sequel. Gru has that romantic relationship to Lucy, which in fact is the most solid relationship, I guess. But I'm gonna talk about the second most funny Illumination villain is El Macho. He's really the most epic Despicable Me villain next to Vector! He's not exactly amazing villain like Megamind. I mean, that's El Macho. I can't believe this movie made millions of dollars at the box office because of more Minions! Anyway, this movie is enough fun to watch and it has a few funny humor and not so funny stuff. And for the most part, this movie is good as the first. Like I said, 6.5 out of 10. And also, this was the only Illumination movie to be nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. But do you know that would be better than this movie? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. That's how you know that is a banger. Anyways, on to the third one. Despicable M3. I have some reason to say about it because this will be much difficult to talk about. I think this was a sequel with Gru's twin brother named Drew. What else am I gonna say about this movie? I guess the opening scene was pretty cool and I like the 80s references in his show. And I think Trey Parker as 80s villain was kinda funny. What's next? I guess the climax was actually epically fine to the next cliffhanger. Speaking of the cliffhanger, Drew stole Gru's Flymobile and the 4th movie happened, so that's epic. Let me tell you about 3 subplots that happen in the middle chunk of the movie. There's this first subplot where Gru and Drew have a plan to steal a diamond, which in fact, it should have been a villainy idea like in the first movie. And they stole the diamond and the 80s villain finds out that twin Grus are actually noisy and noobs and they escape. So Gru has no relationship, but only with his brother because they got into an argument with each other. Even Gru's modern voice sounds too rough and throaty. Even also, the minions added nothing to the subplot whatsoever, so they beg Gru to be a villain again, I guess. But no, they steal a pizza and have a dance concert and they go to jail for no reason. Seriously, why are the minions have nothing to do at all? It's just like a movie that makes no sense that this subplot has too much filler and makes money at the box office. I guess the girls find a unicorn that looks like a goat. And that's about it for the 3 subplots. Honestly, it's not as bad than Shrek the Third. And also, this movie is not very great in my opinion. So I'll give it a 5.7 out of 10 and a C+. Now time to move on to the prequels of this franchise. Minions is the movie with minions and they do minion stuff. That's about it. The plot is actually nonsensical and predictable in any reason. Like how did the 3 minions met Scarlet Overkill? How come Bob becomes king? It's just 1 hour and a half of haha silly minion moments, which is kinda gets repetitive over times. It's just a worse version of Penguins of Madagascar, which Kevin is Skipper, Stuart is Kowalski, and Bob is Private again. Also, this movie made $1 billion at the box office. Remember the scene where the minions hypnotizes the guards? It reminds me of the Shark Tale dance. I don't actually know what to say about this movie. I guess the Nelson family was way more interesting to watch. Even the villain com was kind of interesting and fun. I think they did a good job with the stop motion sequence. And young Gru showed up at the end of the movie and that was nice. But yeah, it's actually bad. But it's way better than The Secret Life of Pets 2. With that said, I give it a 2.9 out of 10, which is almost a 3 out of 10 experience. And now, we have Minions The Rise of Gru, baby! Woo! You know, some people wanted me to review Minions The Rise of Gru back in 2022. Well, with that said, it is a solid prequel to the Despicable Me franchise. They added some references to the first Despicable Me movie, and it really feels it's going through a natural way to the first Despicable Me movie than the first Minions movie. That means there are less Minions and more Rise of Gru. As of Gru stuff, it's nearly very decent, and this character works because of a score got better. And the middle kinda drags, and the 3 minions had to rescue Gru for some reason, so they learned Kung Fu for some reason, and it adds nothing to the story. Also, the other minion has a crush on a rock with eyes, and give it to the golden clock to the birthday boy, and Gru thinks that the other minion is stupid. So the other minion has to ride a tricycle to get the golden clock back to Gru, and it also added nothing to the story. And the vicious chicks were kinda useless, except for Wild Knuckles. They didn't do anything inside of the middle chunk of the movie, but at least the villain concept is kinda creative. But yeah, with that said, it's still a decent prequel, and it's better than the first Minions movie. The best way for the Minions duology is the conclusion to the Minions franchise. You know, the first one is really skippable. I would give it a 6.3 out of 10. I've got to mention that there's a Vector cameo, and it's the most best cameo ever. So, The Lorax is a 2012 film adaptation to the children's book which goes from the same name written by Dr. Seuss. This book involves some dangerous ideas for the world by chopping down trees due to the bad environment to make millionaires for big companies. But this movie made by Illumination kinda misunderstands the original book, even though the story makes no sense whatsoever. Like seriously, how can people survive without any environments of nature? Like, I don't know, like wearing masks due to the pandemic? Let me tell you about the entire plot. The boy wants a tree to impress the Taylor Swift girl. The old lady remembers the trees and tells the boy to get a tree, but tree doesn't exist because feeling bad. The boy goes to Onstler and tells him what happened to the trees. And then we watch the Onstler's backstory, and why does he have an electric guitar? The message here in this movie is so lost, and they spam the commercials, especially they advertise a car. After the backstory of the Onceler, there's a musical number that became a meme in early 2017. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. Also, I just want to bring up a deleted song called Biggering, an absolute legend that is more dark enough, but they replaced with a meme song which is too dark. And I prefer that you listen to the song right now. Well, you know what? That song was kinda decent. The animation looks really pretty and colorful, and so does the colors. Animated kinda better than the late 2000s animated movies. And Danny DeVito also did a good job as the Lorax. I didn't know why he showed up for the first and last 45 seconds. And fun fact, the Onceler made a Nintendo reference.
Why aren't you like other kids? Breakdancing and wearing bell bottoms and playing the Donkey Kongs.
Well, that was a fun reference that he said Donkey Kong. Anyways, let's get back to the plot. So after the How Bad Can I Be song ended, the last tree was chopped down and everyone is disappointed to him. And his backstory ends and the Onceler gives a truffle seed to the boy and walks away. It's a good way to end the story because the 1972 version is a complete better way to execute the message very well. But no, he's gonna put the seed in the middle of the town and sing the last musical number called Let It Grow. The Lorax returns at the end of the movie and the Onceler hunks him and they show the Dr. Seuss message. That's about it, I guess. It was pretty mid, but at least I kinda liked it, so 4.7 out of 10. And also, if you want to watch something that is better, just watch the 1972 version instead. It's available on YouTube. So I prefer the 2018 Grinch over the 2012 Lorax. Like I said in my part 1 of my DreamWorks ranking video. Even though the plot less misunderstands the original Christmas book from Dr. Seuss, the Grinch planning to steal Christmas nearly slowed pace and could have been a lot better if the non-book-based elements can be removed, and it would really make sense. And Banana Cucumber Batch is kinda not good voice acting for the Grinch. He's just kinda whatever. I mean, why is his teeth white? I think in the classic version, his teeth is supposed to be ugly and yellow-like. A few of the context from the book are completely missing, like the Grinch trying to steal a Christmas tree. There's a subplot about Cindy Lou Who playing a trout when Santa is real, and this doesn't go anywhere, and it added nothing. I actually like the animation. It's pretty nice and colorful, and they made the characters probably a lot better than the 2000 version. I don't know what to say about this Christmas movie. There's nothing negative about it. You could do a little bit worse at this 2018 Christmas movie, but you could do a lot better as the 1960s version, okay? For that, I'll give it a 5.6 out of 10. Alright, I think we're halfway through the ranking list, and want to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content. The Secret Life of Pets is a movie about pets and they have secret lives. What am I going to say about this movie? I remember watching it when I was 7 in cinemas with my mom back in 2016, and it was alright, I guess. It's one of the most bland movie titles that came from a Minion idea. There's 2 main characters who are Woody and Buzz and their pets. Wow, great, how inspiring! Now I thought about it, the music had some jazz to listen to, which is really relaxing to hear. I thought this movie was actually perfectly fine for the first 7 minutes. I enjoyed the cat trying to eat a chicken, the sewer scene was kinda fun, and the animation pretty holds up for the age of 6 to 8. And also the Kevin Hart did a good job as the White Rabbit. I'll give the best compliment for that. Anyways, this movie is just a worse version of Toy Story, where it's a secret world of pets, which is a better title than this. The plot is also nonsensical, which in fact the 8 side characters had to find the 2 main dogs that were lost in the city, giving the taste how this subplot is useless and it makes really bland whatsoever. It could have been a better idea if they split into 2 groups of 4. It would make the movie score better! The 2 main dogs are just Woody and Buzz again with a copy personality, and literally just every element in this movie, yet with pets, was mockbustered. There's an awkward poop joke in the middle of the movie. That's about it of this movie. It was kinda mediocre and an awkwardly fun, cute movie to watch. That's where we're at now, and 5.6 out of 10. And then we have The Secret Life of Pets 2! Oh my god, this franchise is even worse than you think! It's still really fast paced about this sequel and makes it into a direct-to-video. Some of the 3 subplots felt like some TV episodes lazy stitched together into a theatrical film. The first subplot is the Kevin Hart rabbit who is soft and not funny, wants to be a superhero, and saving a white tiger who can't talk. And it's just there as a joke. The second subplot is the snowy dog trying to get a bee toy from a lot of cats, and she becomes a disguise as a cat and it adds nothing to this. And the third subplot is the two main dogs. And also, they couldn't get Lois C.K. back to voice the tiny dog from the second movie. And Patton Oswalt is not a good replacement, it's just bleh for one reason. At the farm, they meet the Harrison Ford dog named Rooster who teaches little dogs how to be brave. I don't know. So Tiny Dog rescues a lamb that is on an apple tree that is the edge of the cliff. After the three subplots, they defeat the villain, but he ends up getting hit by a car, and the end. I have a final complaint about this movie, that is just an educational film for children that is boring and not funny. Not funny. At least the Harrison Ford message is kinda deep. It's like a 2.9 out of 10 sequel, and that's why this franchise is made from iMovie.
Panda, 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 panda.
The next Illumination franchise is Sing. Is there anything I have to say about this movie? Where do I even begin? Okay, here we go. There it is. So, Sing is a movie with singing animals, and that's creative, I think. Well, sorta. The plot is basically structured like when the koala named Mr. Moon wants to be famous to start a singing contest, when the winner will get $1,000. When the lizard was about to print $1,000 post, she mistakenly put 2 zeros and makes it $100,000. A few moments later, Mr. Moon noticed that the prize was too expensive, which is very repetitive. The characters are pretty basic, like the boyfriendless teenage porcupine, the elephant in the nervous wreck, the gorilla who doesn't want his dad to be arrested, and also the pig mom inventor. And weirdly enough, the mouse griffin is my true favorite character because he was voiced by Seth MacFarlane. Even though the whole movie is decently watchable enough, but there are some boring, slow-paced scenes, and a Lyra reveal scene, and then the theater got destroyed when the main characters are being alone, and Mr. Moon is about to lose all of his stuff. And then 6 minutes later, we get some fun musical performances. My favorite is character Erickton performing I'm Still Standing. He did a great job with the roles. Like, if anyone made a better version of Trolls, that's okay. Anyways, 6.4 out of 10. Decent movie, good music. Weirdly enough, I prefer Sing 2 over the original. It's honestly the best Illumination sequel out there. Despite its flaws, the musical numbers are more visually interesting to look at. Illumination tried a lot of story arcs to the main characters, like the Pig Mom and Gunter, the Taron Egerton gorilla and the cat, the teenage porcupine and Clay Calloway lion, and... Wait, where was I on? Oh yeah, I think the animation and the visuals are very colorful and fascinating. Plus, the villain Jimmy Crystal is a really good villain. Actually, he has a great threat to Mr. Moon, which is very delightful. The movie itself gets very exciting when the Grubhub theme was playing in the scene of the hotel escape. The elephant that looks like Luigi. Truth be told, I had fun with the sequel. But then we had to move on with the problems. The character with Buster Moon feels kinda clumsy and bland from the same first movie. He fired Mr. Crystal's daughter, which it makes no sense for Buster Moon whatsoever. And the lizard is kinda useless in this one. She didn't do anything to the plot and she was just there. And yup, as for now, it's definitely fun and I recommend you check it out. It's not exactly great as Despicable Me 1, but actually 6.8 out of 10. It's a better duology than The Secret Life of Pets. Speaking of which, it's time to talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie again. I remember growing up playing some Mario games, like Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, Mario Party, etc. But the movie itself is so amazing. Speaking of amazing, it's definitely better than all Illumination movies. The animation looks pretty colorful, the voice acting is pretty good. As for Chris Pratt as Mario, not as bad. Weirdly enough, Jack Black as Bowser goes despicably hard at the song Peaches, which is my favorite part of this movie.
Peaches, 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 ah! Oh, yeah! Oh, peaches! Peaches!
The music score, Brian Tyler, slaps just like some Nintendo music. There's a lot of fun stuff that I was entertained, like the Donkey Kong fight, the Mario Kart racing, and some quirky fun nostalgia Nintendo references. And the climax is my second favorite part of the movie. And yeah, with that said, I had a lot of fun about this movie. It never completely misunderstands the original Super Mario Bros. And it's one of the most amazing video game adaptations I've ever seen in my life. It really feels like I was watching a Pixar or DreamWorks movie, indeed. Here's the score that I got. 9.4 out of 10. But if you disagree with me, that's okay. Since I don't want to talk about some kids animated movies that was released a few months ago, I'll do a quick review on Migration. It's kinda good. I like the Doug's family go on a journey to Jamaica. The villain's solid. They tried a different style of animation. If anyone made an actual copy of Rio and the Cruise, I honestly care about it. 7 out of 10, good as 3 out. Well, here we are. The grand finale of this ranking video. The worst Illumination movie that ever made is Hop. When I first watched this movie, I realized this movie ruined Easter, a holiday that anyone enjoys next to Christmas. After the first 7 minutes, the characters got worse, and so does E.B., who is the only unlikable character in this film. His dad tells him to be the Easter successor, but E.B. doesn't want to be the Easter Bunny anymore, so he wants to be a drummer. And he escapes from Easter Island to Hollywood. And then he meets James Marsden, the one who played the officer from the Sonic movie. So E.B. almost gets abandoned from the mountain fields, and then he poops with jelly beans on Marsden's car. Let me tell you, that was gross. E.B. sneaks into James Marsden's job interview and plays the drums. And I think it's really dull that the bunny is in the building. Just leave him in the car now. There's a hilariously awkward scene where E.B. pretends to be a stuffed animal and he acts like a toy monkey. Anyways, James Marsden takes E.B. to David's Got Talent, and then there is an 80s cultural reference.
You're not surprised that I'm a talking rabbit?
Little man, my best friend's a talking car.
I think it's a reference to Knight Rider, a show that ran from 1982 to 1986. So when the girls play, he finds out that the 3 ninja rabbits have appeared, so he hijacks her play and because he went the wrong way. And there's a musical number called I Want Candy, which is the most annoying song next to the Minions singing. I guess there's a training scene and I have no words to say. Anyways, enough talking about the most unlikable character I ever seen. I'm going to talk about the stupidest villain, Carlos. He was the one who was the co-Easter worker in this factory. But all those years later, Carlos wanted to take over the business because E.B. doesn't want to do it. Yet, in the beginning of the movie, he doesn't do anything villainous at all. And then for the last 25 minutes, he tries to kill James Marsden and E.B.'s dad, because he acts like a weird one-dimensional monster who doesn't do anything right. And then at the end, James Marsden was chosen to be the co-Easter Bunny. Wait a minute! I thought bunnies can be Easter bunnies, but the humans? What do you mean that James Marsden is a co-Easter bunny? Huh? Alright, I guess the British and Spanish accents are okay somehow, but sometimes I enjoyed it, and I don't know, I guess I like the factory part. It was kind of satisfying to watch. And yes, I consider to give it a 2.1 out of 10. Because of this, it was the most feverish movie that I ever witnessed. And this should never be watched from every single Easter holidays. Alright, with that by the way, here's my result of my ranking list. Yup, this concludes to Illumination Entertainment. Well, this ranking video that I made was not that bad, unless I was making my second part of my DreamWorks ranking video. If there's anything that some movies are somewhat average, then I was just looking for how Despicable Me 4 is good or not. Anyways, see you later!